Hey, what's going on, guys? Ime here, and today I'm going to be walking you through my process of how I edit my drone photos in Adobe Lightroom. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so the first things first, I'm going to open Adobe Lightroom, and I just chose to work with a picture that is just given nothing. When I'm looking through my gallery of photos, this photo definitely does not pop out. So that's a pretty good indication. If you're like zooming out and you're not seeing a photo that pops out, that's probably one that, yeah, is not a good shot. All right, so I've chosen this photo and I want to be able to bring some life back into this photo. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my basic edit settings. And before I get to the light, I always like to adjust the curve. I look at this as like a universal kind of balance of how I can edit this photo. So I know I definitely want to be able to make it lighter. It just seems crazy dark. So I'm just going to start in the middle of this curve here. I think of the middle as like the overall kind of like the overall exposure. And then we get to the bottom of the curve here. I look at this as more the shadows. And then up here, this is more for to control the whites. So honestly, I'm just going back and forth, man. I'm just like eyeballing what looks best, but I know it should be in some type of like S curve here. I mean, it's, you know, not quite an S, but I'm just kind of eyeballing this and looking at my histogram, and this looks a lot better from before, at least, right? So this looks a lot better from before. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go up to the basic settings and I'm going to adjust my white and black. So after I get done the curve, I go to whites and blacks. Just going to mess with the sliders here. See, I don't want anything too overexposed. And then for my blacks and my shadows, I think that looks pretty good. Then I'll just work my way up to highlights. And again, I'll see a lot of like, it's really affecting these lights right here. And then I'm going to work with contrast. And again, I'm just kind of going through each slider and I'm just seeing what works. Exposure, looks like if I bump that up a little bit, it looks definitely a little bit brighter. And okay, so that looks good for me. Oops, let's go back. That looks good for me in terms of like color correction. We can already see here that we've gone from like night to maybe, you know, just past golden hour. So the next thing I'm going to do is color. I mean, this, you know, to me, it just looks like it looks super cool and cold. So if I take this color temperature down, but maybe I slide it back the other way and look at that. I mean, the greens are coming out. I mean, look at that. From this to something like this, it looks almost completely different. I like this. So I'm going to leave it right there. And my temperature is at, looks like a 12 Kelvin. Maybe this is a little bit more realistic. I mean, as I do that, it just seems like there's so much more color here. I can see some orange in the top corner here, and I think that's okay. So from there, I'm just gonna see what happens when I increase the saturation. I don't like that. Those yellows look way too bright. So maybe I can just increase the saturation just a little bit. And now this is kind of where I single out my colors. So I know that there, you know, green plays obviously a big part in this photo. Let's see what happens when I just increase the saturation and then luminance. I think of luminance as like how bright I want that specific color to be. So if you are someone like me who likes to, you know, really focus on color, you're going to like tropical areas. Definitely this color mixer is great. And then another thing you can do, you can click on this. Let's say that, hey, I just want to, you know, kind of focus on this shade of green. I can actually come down here and say, hey, when I click on this green, I can drag it to the right and it's going to control my luminance all across the photo. So I think that's pretty cool. The next thing I'll do here, I'm going to think about my mask. So after I've got my color done, I'm going to go to my mask and I'm going to see if I can adjust anything. And when I think about masking, I'm thinking like, what do I want to bring people's attention to? So obviously want to bring it here, and I'm going to do the same thing, you know, start with my curves. That's good. And then let's see if we can add a little bit more sat just in the middle. That's a little bit too much. And we are good to go with the masking. And now I'm going to do some more adjustments and then we're going to be ready to export. All right, so we are almost done with our masking and now it's time for me just to make some final adjustments. Now, typically, if this were like a cover photo or something, I would go up and kind of clean up, you know, these kind of marks here, but I just like this photo as natural as it is. So I'm gonna go back one more time to my photo here Let's just see where we began and where we are now. I really, really like this. So the following things I'm going to do just to make sure that everything is cool. Just going to remove the chromatic aberration, enable lens corrections. And again, this is a top-down shot. I really like this. Anything like sharpening, I may sharpen it just a little bit. It's just based on your preference. Now, I also have to think about where am I posting this. So is this going to be on like Facebook, Instagram? Do I want it to be vertical in a story? And this is where you can actually come and make those adjustments. So 16:9, obviously that's looking landscape. For Instagram, we want to go vertical. So just to get a hint, I mean, if I was to post this on Instagram, right, this would be my composition. And of course, you can, change this any way you like it. But I'm just gonna go straight up here. And actually, you know what? What would happen if I rotate this the other way? I wonder what would happen. I don't know. Let's see if I can make it smaller. But again, with these questions, these are the questions that you should ask yourself when you're shooting, but of course, also when you're editing too. So awesome. I think that's pretty much, I don't think this is a good photo for a vertical shot, but maybe 5x4, it might be. It actually might be. So that looks pretty good. I mean, it's still a roundabout. Let's just push enter and see what happens. That's okay. It shows a roundabout. I would still like to kind of show the whole thing, but you can see some cars, some movements. Let me go back here and just go back to original. So maybe for this photo, we just keep it original. And then what I like to do, I just like to select it just to make sure that I have it as a pic. And then I will go here, I'll export. Let me just do export JPEG. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it to my desktop. And that is going to be it. And once I have it saved at my desktop, I've edited my photo. Now I'm ready to share it across Facebook, any social platform. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you learned something about my editing style. If you would like to see more edits like this, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what kind of edits you would like to see. I would be more than happy to put those together for you and provide some examples of my workflow and how I edit drone photos. So I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.